Good afternoon. In my last devotion, I shared with you a prayer by Michelle Quoist called, I Have Time. And that prayer is a reminder for us that when we don't think we have enough time to get everything done, God has given us exactly the right amount of time. And the prayer invites us to consider how we use the time that God has given to us, not on meaningless things, but upon the things that really matter. So I'd like to follow up today by asking a question. Where do we focus our attention when we do have the time? And to help you get a sense of where I'm going with this, let me ask the same question a different way. How much time do we spend with the electronic gizmos that surround us? Our cell phones, our laptops, our televisions, the list goes on and on. Our electronic gadgets are so ubiquitous that we don't even realize how much they dominate our lives. You can't even check out of the store without electronics. There was a time once when I was in the grocery store when their system went down. And the clerks told us we all had to leave because they couldn't sell us anything without the electronics happening. It's easiest to realize how much time we spend with our electronics when you look at the people around us, how glued we are to these smartphones of ours. I saw a picture once of the Mona Lisa in the Louvre Museum, but no one in the crowd was looking at the picture. They were all posing to make selfies of themselves with the Mona Lisa rather than looking at it itself. I saw another picture once of fans at a sporting event, and not a single person in the entire row was looking at the field to watch the game. They were all staring at their cell phones. Now, I doubt that I'm telling you anything new with all of this. Everyone notices, everyone complains about how much time we spend on the phones. And it's not the younger generations anymore. You'll see people from preschoolers to retirees staring at screens. This is why it struck me recently when I read an article that called these our electronic pacifiers. A pacifier, of course, is something that you give to a baby to calm them down, to satisfy them, to keep them quiet. But all of our battery-powered doodads serve the same purpose for us. We use them to quiet us, to calm us down, to satisfy us somehow. Let me use myself as an example. When I'm standing, say, in a checkout line, or if I'm standing around waiting to meet someone, what do? Almost reflexively, I reach into my pocket and pull out my phone to check my email, to look at Facebook, to see if I got any text messages. I look to see what are the latest news stories that have come up. Are there interesting photos for me to look at? And maybe you use it to say, I want to watch today's video devotion from my pastor. You only have to look at other people around you, if you're willing to look up from your phone, to see the exact same thing. Why? Why are we trying to pacify ourselves? What are we trying to avoid, or what are we trying to gain? Well, the answer to that could be different for each person, so I'm not going to speak for you or all of humanity. I can only speak from my own experience, and I'll let you decide if it applies to you. I often use my phone to avoid empty moments, when there's time with nothing to do, and I want to fill every moment. That's ironic, of course, when we consider Michelle Quoist's prayer, when we complain to God that we are burdened by the fact that we have no free time. But what do we do when we do have free time? We look for something to take that free time away from us. We use these phones also to try to gain something. We want to gain a connection. Maybe it's a way to interact with people or to hear from other people. Maybe it's one of those Facebook so-called friends of ours that we want to find out what they ate for dinner yesterday or what their backyard looks like. Or maybe it's some public figure that we want to find out if they sneezed this morning or if they said something funny yesterday. But that, once again, is ironic because as we stare at our phones or at our laptops, We are isolating ourselves from the people right beside us. Then, consider what the Lord has to say to us in Psalm 46. Be still and know that I am God. Be still. Be the very thing that we are working so desperately not to be. We don't want to be still. That's why we fill our time with so many activities that we can pray with Michelle Koist, Lord, I don't have enough time. This is why when we do have a spare moment, we grab something with a screen on it so we can look at it. Is it any wonder that it's so hard for us to recognize and see God? We leave no room in our lives to be still so that we can know that He is God. I encourage you, take some time, use some time, give some time to God in order to be still, in order to pause, to stop, to look around you, to look within you. It doesn't have to be a long time. It can even just be 30 seconds. Pay attention when you can be still to what you feel happening inside of you. There's a very good chance that it is God whom you are coming to know, even if you only know God 30 seconds better. And when you do this, I would not be surprised if you discover that 30 seconds is not long enough to be still, to know that He is God. Being still takes discipline. We have to overcome our desire to grab these pacifiers of ours. But when we do, when we take that time to be still, then we can truly know God. Would you pray with me, please? Lord, help us to be still. Help us to take even just a few seconds to put down our pacifiers, to stop filling our schedules, so that we can be still. And as we are still, help us to know that You indeed are God. Amen. Thanks for joining me. We'll talk again later.